If the existence of a prior criminal conviction is impacting your career prospects, housing opportunities, or the ability to purchase a firearm, then expungement of your criminal record, or what Arizona considers a conviction set-aside, can help. In this video, I'll walk you through a step-by-step tutorial to help you better understand Arizona's expungement process and to ensure that if a motion to set aside your conviction is filed by either you or an attorney on your behalf, it's in fact granted. Now, before we get into the exact steps of having your conviction set aside, it's worth discussing what the difference is between expungement and what Arizona considers a conviction set aside. Normally, when people think of expungement, they think of something called pure expungement, meaning that every trace of the criminal conviction is gone entirely. Unfortunately, Arizona doesn't have pure expungement. However, before you give up on filing your application to set aside your conviction or hiring a lawyer to petition the court on your behalf, it's worth thinking about what a conviction set aside can do for you. Examples of the ways in which a conviction set aside can better your life include things like expanding housing opportunities, improving child custody situations, increasing employment opportunities, and in many instances restoring civil rights, including the right to bear arms. What's unique about set-asides that you won't find in expungement is that you can apply even if you have multiple convictions. What's more, most crimes under Arizona law are eligible for set-aside. So with that, you might ask yourself, who's eligible to have their conviction set aside, and what crimes can be set aside? ARS 13905 lays out 3 requirements that the court will consider when evaluating whether to grant a motion or application to set aside a conviction. First, is your sentence complete? Meaning, if you receive probation, has probation been terminated? Or instead, if you were sentenced to prison, have you received an absolute discharge from prison or parole? Also, have you paid all your court-ordered fines, fees, and criminal restitution? Secondly, does the conviction qualify to be set aside? Luckily, most crimes under Arizona law are eligible to be set aside. There are, however, some exceptions to that rule. Some common examples of crimes that cannot be set aside include convictions for crimes that involved sexual motivation or required sex registration as a result of the conviction, convictions for crimes that involved a dangerous instrument or dangerous weapon, convictions for crimes that were perpetrated against children, and oddly, convictions for a number of different criminal traffic violations. This brings us to the last requirement, which is a list of 7 factors that the judge is required by law to evaluate when deciding whether to grant or deny a motion to set aside. These 7 factors are as follows. Number 1, the facts and circumstances of the crime for which you were convicted. Number 2, how well you performed while on probation. Number 3, whether there was any prior or if there's been any subsequent criminal convictions for either misdemeanors or felonies. Number 4, the victim's position on whether the motion should be granted or denied. Number 5, the length of time that has passed since the completion of your sentence and the request to have the conviction set aside. Number 6, the age you were when the crime was committed. And lastly, number 7, a catch-all provision. Any other factor that the court should consider. Thoughtful consideration as to what to include as it relates to that 7th factor is what separates a motion that would normally be denied from one that could be granted. When we're filing motions to set aside on behalf of our clients, we often use the 7th factor as a way to humanize our client before the court. In essence, we provide information about what your life has become since your conviction and who you were then versus who you are now. So whether you're planning to file an application to set aside your own conviction, or you're contemplating hiring a lawyer to file a motion on your own behalf, we hope this video provided useful information to help you better understand Arizona's set-aside laws. And, as always, we provide a free consultation to answer any questions you may have about set-asides or any other criminal matter. You can also contact us on our website using our online form submission or by leaving a comment in the comment sections below.